How's it going, everybody? This is Novakast back with another video, and oh boy, another chapter of this crappy book. That being Reaper's Creek, and I apologize for the sound of me hitting the freaking desk with the book. Which, that's basically what happened. Anyway, we're on chapter 2, which is The Mother of a Better World. Goody. Alright, here we go. All around the world, I could hear people screaming. I could see them being violated, robbed, beaten, and broken down in every way. They were made in the corrupt God's image. Some represented his good side, others were the embodiment of his evil. I grew tired of the sound of suffering, as I not only could feel their pain as they felt it, but it distracted me from Cole, from finding the answers not even I could provide with all my knowledge and power. I had improved the world when I gained full realization of my ability, but that didn't stop nature from taking its course. I created the body to be my better half, to stand when I could not, and now I had a great task for him. The body stood next to me, waiting for me to vocalize a decision for our next actions. I knew the body could hear the screams as well. I knew he could hear my thoughts and my focus on the pain of the world. I spoke, "I need you to." In the middle of my sentence, the body disappeared. He knew I wanted him to be better than God, to be better than the Reaper, and to reverse the destruction God caused when he killed his own sister. First, that would require the body getting knowledge of how the world truly was before God, to analyze the code and see what was changed when God wiped out all of his sister's children and made poor, corrupt imitations of them. While my creation could focus on the issues of the world, I could focus on Cole. Unfortunately for me, Cole was a god of gods. You would assume to locate someone at the absolute height of the universe's hierarchy would be difficult, but in fact, chronologically, was my first strategy to locate him, and the strategy was effective. As usual, I had opened a black rip in reality, so I could effectively scan through the data of the universe, the code. I searched back to God's initial code creation, the first time it existed in all of existence. God was in fact not only created second, but at the apparent request of his sister. She wanted a brother, someone to guide and inspire with her creations. However, Cole did not code God properly. Cole made many mistakes with his daughter's much younger brother. To give description to the timeline of Cole's creation to God's creation would be best explained through comparison. The dinosaurs were a creation of Cole. I could see this in the signature encoding style of Cole. The explanation for their existence, from what I could understand, appeared to be unintentional. The more I analyzed Cole's coding, the more I realized he was no more near as thorough as his daughter. Millions of years after the dinosaurs came humans, just like God came after Cole, only in the time frame of trillions. The more I compared God's code to his sister's and then to Cole's, the more I understood exactly what had happened between Cole and his children. More importantly, through all my analysis, Cole became incredibly easy to find. He had not moved since the death of his daughter. I focused my energy on instantaneous travel. I replaced. I think you should be saying simply, you dumb fuck. simply replaced my current location with that of Cole's, only approximately 20 feet away from him in an area with no conflicting objects or hazards. I did, however, input a modification to my own physical form to ensure Cole would not detect me, and it worked perfectly as I planned. Yeah, I doubt that. Before me sat a man in a stone throne, gray as you would expect. The handles of his throne cut sharply into rectangular shapes, the back raised far above his head, and the legs blended into the ground without seams, almost as if the chair had grown into place like a tree. Above me appeared a small glimmer of light that somehow illuminated the whole room. It was as if I was in a cave with a tiny skylight hundreds of feet above me. The room was surrounded with indentions in the gray stone walls. It was the basic code I first learned to modify basic elements in my life. Within seconds, I identified the code as the different variations of Cole's daughter, the process he went through to create her. The man in the chair before me, Cole, his skin was like glass, only the color of gray. I could see his eyes under his closed eyelids. One was blue, one was red. He had no beard, no hair on his head, but his face looked so tired and old. If I had to compare Gull's appearance to that of a person on Earth, I would say he resembled someone who was 145 years old. He had wrinkles everywhere, even under his dark blue, shiny garments. I could see he was shriveled and hunched. After analyzing the room and the man himself, I decided I would make myself appear before him. As I lifted the veil around me, he slowly opened his eyes and lifted his head towards me. The man's face began to shake gently, his blue eye filled with tears. Without a moment's hesitation, the man began sobbing in the throne, throwing his face into his old, withered hands. I spoke aloud to the man. "I'm sorry you are hurting." The man whimpered and struggled as he spoke back. "I couldn't do it. I'm sorry." Okay. I could see his emotions like anyone sees color. The radiated out of him. I think they radiated out of him like ink, polluting other colors as they simultaneously submerged in water. I could also see, feel, and hear his thoughts in code, my own emotions and my mind. As Cole continued to cry, I realized why God had wounded her, how God had wound up the way he did. Cole created his daughter when he was midway through his life cycle. He created God towards the end of his life cycle. His daughter had become so lonely, and the creatures that were not her equal did not satisfy her intellectually or emotionally. As part of her code, he could not create her own, as Cole knew such a creation would force her to shorten her own life. Knowing his daughter wanted a brother of equal status so badly, Cole created God with his own life force. But Cole, having so little left, he made mistakes, leaving him powerless to create them and powerless to help his daughter if they ever were at odds. Cole spoke with more composure than before. I entered this world with gray eyes. Becoming a father provided me with feelings, thoughts, and hopes I had never felt before. I knew I made mistakes, or a mistake with God. I know how this sounds, but even if I could change him, I didn't think I would have. My only regret is that I could not die in the place of my daughter. The man continued to cry for a moment in front of me, then struggled while continuing to speak. A father's love for his child. Even I cannot change that. You give everything you have to your children. I just wish they didn't have to suffer because of my mistakes. The more I observed Cole's words, his face, and his code, I could see how genuine and remorseful he was. I imagined using my power to bring his children before him, only leaving the aspects of God's corrupt code behind. But I knew Cole would not be satisfied without his authentic original children. I spoke aloud to Cole. I've seen your code, and I know that you cannot see mine as a result of my own evolution. I know that you are incapable of bringing your children back. I know the pain you feel. I have seen much of your life play out before me through the many lines of code that make you who you are, Cole. Cole replied, somewhat agitated. We are more than code. My son and daughter were living, breathing gods. I stepped away from Cole and turned my back to him to look at the walls around us. I spoke aloud to Cole. You only display your daughter's code on this wall, Cole replied. It was in memory of her, my last bit of strength left after the creation of my son. I ripped through the wall of the universe to search for code once more and found his daughter's code in the exact form it was just before she had died. After modifying the universe to my will, oh my gosh. This is so fucking unbearable. I'm so glad I'm almost done with this chapter. Okay. After modifying the universe to my will, I turned around to Cole and lifted my arm. As my arm raised, the walls around us transitioned to show God's code instead of Cole's fallen daughter. Cole's eyes widened as he silently watched the world around him shift. I spoke aloud. You won't need to remember your daughter anymore, Cole. She's standing next to you. Cole's stare became weak. His head began to dip forward, and he collapsed in his chair. He could feel his daughter coming back to his reality, as she was just now, just how he remembered her. This woman was beyond description. I had seen no one like her before. The moment she gained her consciousness again, she immediately went to aid her father. Seeing them reunited, knowing their troubles were mostly behind them, I felt confident in the future they would influence without God to end what the world was, or his own sister once more. It was time for me to go home. Oh Lord, what do I have to say about this freaking chapter? It's... Good Lord, it's sporadic, nonsensical, basically stroking, Onision's ego, because again, when it comes down to the chapters, or at least the story, it's told in the first person, or third person. oh my gosh, just my head hurts. Because, again, as we talked about before, when it comes to, like, looking at his writing, Greg strives to have a certain level of control when it comes to a lot of things. And this whole story just kind of gives an example of the kind of control that he wants, I guess, to an extent, if he somehow gained the power of God. Which, oh gosh, get a life, dude. Seriously, it's just, this is gut wrenching. It really is. All right, so we got 2 more chapters. Actually, after this video, the next video, reading about this book, I'm just gonna say there are 2 chapters, but both of them I'm going to read on the same video because I can't even classify the last chapter as a chapter. It's like not even 2 pages. So yeah, next video will be the final video for Reaper's Creek. Thank God. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys have been following me on this stupid fucking book. And actually, I can't even celebrate because not only am I will say I'm almost done with Reaper's Creek, but I got 2 other books that I gotta friggin' read. So, goody. Alright, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Novakast signing off. Have a good one, and take care. Peace.